The Temple of Echoes had not accepted a gift in 10,000 years. The IT stood on the dead world of Verith, nine like a monument to patience. Its walls were made of stone that breathed. Its corridors shifted like dreams. Deep inside its heart, a light waited for someone worthy. No one had ever been worthy. High Commander Draven of the Korith Dominion believed he would be the first. His warship had crossed 3 star systems to reach this place. Behind him marched 50 soldiers in black armor, each one carrying a chest of tribute. Inside those chests were treasures beyond imagination. Rare crystals from dying stars. Technology stolen from conquered worlds. Ancient books containing secrets that could reshape reality itself. Draven was tall and covered in scales the color of burnt copper. His eyes were cold and calculating. He had conquered 12 worlds in his lifetime. He had never failed at anything. Open the chests, he commanded. His soldiers obeyed. The treasures gleamed in the pale sunlight. Enough wealth to buy entire planets. Enough power to make him the most feared being in the galaxy. The temple's entrance loomed before them. It was a massive archway carved with symbols older than any known language. As Draven approached, he could feel the temple watching him. It was alive in some way that science could not explain. "I am High Commander Draven," he announced, his voice echoing off the ancient stones. "I bring offerings worthy of your legendary heart gift. Grant me my wish, and I shall spread word of your glory across the stars." He gestured, and his soldiers carried the chests forward. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the temple responded. The treasures inside the chests began to crumble. Priceless crystals turned to dust. Stolen technology melted into nothing. Ancient books dissolved as if they had never existed. "No," Draven whispered. An invisible force pushed against him and his soldiers. It was not violent, but it was absolute. They stumbled backward, step by step, until they stood outside the temple's shadow. The message was clear. He was not worthy. His gifts meant nothing. Draven screamed in rage. He drew his weapon and fired at the temple walls. The energy blast disappeared into the stone without leaving a mark. The temple did not even acknowledge his anger. "This is not over," he snarled. "I will return with greater offerings. I will have what I came for." But even as he said the words, he knew they were empty. The temple had rejected emperors and conquerors for millennia. It would reject him again. From a cliff overlooking the temple, an old alien named Storiy watched the scene with tired eyes. He was small and gray, with long fingers made for writing. For 200 years, he had studied the Temple of Echoes. He had recorded every attempt to win its favor. Every failure, he added another entry to his journal. Korith Dominion. High Commander Draven. Rejected. It was the 4,007th rejection he had documented. Storiy had seen the Empress of the Silk Nebula offer her entire treasury. Rejected. He had seen the Council of Seven Suns offer a sun itself, ready to be moved wherever the temple wished. Rejected. He had seen the AI collective of Prion offer perfect knowledge of the universe. Rejected. Nothing impressed the temple. Nothing satisfied it. Some scholars believed the temple was broken. Others believed it was a test that could never be passed. Storiy had his own theory. He believed the temple was waiting for something specific. Something that all the power and wealth in the galaxy could not provide. He just did not know what it was. Draven's warship lifted off in defeat. Storiy's equipment detected something else. A distress signal. Weak and fragmented, coming from the other side of the valley that he adjusted his scanner. A ship had crashed there recently. Small vessel. Primitive technology. The signal identified it as human. Storiy frowned. Humans were a young species from a distant arm of the galaxy. They had only been traveling between stars for a few centuries. They were considered unremarkable by most civilizations. Emotional creatures with short lifespans and fragile bodies. What were they doing all the way out here? He considered ignoring the signal. His purpose was to study the temple, not to rescue stranded travelers. But something made him hesitate. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was something else. He recorded the signal's location and made a note to investigate later. Below him, the Temple of Echoes stood silent and patient. It had rejected another offering. It had waited another day. 10,000 years was nothing to a being made of stone and starlight. IT could wait 10,000 more, but deep inside its ancient heart, a feeling stirred. The temple could sense something approaching, something different, something it had not felt in all its long existence. IT did not know what was coming to IT, only knew that after all this time, it was finally ready to hope again. 47 people survived the crash of the Meadowlark. 300 had boarded the colony ship on Earth. They had dreams of building a new life on a distant world. Green fields, clean air, a future for their children. Instead, they found fire and broken metal and a planet that was never meant to be their home. Diane knelt in the dirt and checked another injured survivor. Broken arm, fever setting in. She did what she could with the limited medical supplies they had salvaged. It was not enough. Nothing was enough. She was a botanist, not a doctor. Her job was supposed to be growing food on their new colony. Now, she was trying to keep people alive with bandages and hope. "How is she?" asked Paul, her husband. He was covered in grease and exhaustion. For 3 days straight, he had been working on the emergency beacon, trying to send a distress signal. "She needs real medicine," Diane said quietly. "They all do." Paul nodded. He did not argue. There was nothing to argue about. They both knew the truth. If help did not come soon, more people would die. "Where's Lily?" Diane suddenly asked. They both looked around the makeshift camp. Survivors sat in small groups around fires. Some slept, some stared at nothing, but their daughter was not among them. "Lily," Diane called out. "Over here, Mommy." The voice came from the edge of the camp. Lily was sitting on a rock, her small legs dangling, her attention fixed on something in the distance. Diane rushed over. "Sweetheart, you need to stay close. It is dangerous." "I know," Lily said. She did not turn around. "But Mommy, what is that big building?" Diane looked up and saw what her daughter was staring at. The temple. IT rose against the gray sky like something from a dream. Massive and ancient, covered in symbols and shadows. Even from this distance, Diane could feel something strange about it, something that made her skin prickle. "It is just old ruins," she said. "Probably been empty for thousands of years." "It does not look empty," Lily said. "It looks lonely." Diane did not know what to say to that. She took her daughter's hand. "Come back to camp. You can draw pictures until dinner." Lily's face lit up. Drawing was her favorite thing in the world. She had brought her crayons and paper even during the evacuation. While everything burned around them, she had grabbed her art supplies and held them tight. Some people thought it was silly. Diane thought it was the most important thing her daughter could have done. In times of darkness, you hold on to what brings you light. Back at the camp, Lily sat near the fire and started drawing. She drew her family first. Mommy with her long brown hair. Daddy with his big smile. Herself in the middle, holding their hands. She added a yellow sun in the corner because suns made everything better. Then she drew their dog, Biscuit. He was still on Earth, staying with Grandma until they got settled on the new planet. Lily missed him very much. "What are you making?" Paul asked, kneeling beside her. "A picture of us," Lily said, "for the lonely building." Paul glanced at Diane with confusion. She shook her head slightly. "Just let her play." "That is very nice, sweetie," Paul said. "But why does the building need a picture?" "Because it is sad," Lily said simply. "Big things get sad when nobody visits them. Remember the old library that closed near our house? You said it was sad because no one came to read books anymore." Paul opened his mouth, then closed it. He had said that 2 years ago. He did not expect his daughter to remember. "The building is very far away," he said gently, "and we need to stay safe." "I know," Lily said. She kept drawing. "Maybe later." That night, Lily could not sleep. She lay in a small tent with her parents, listening to her father snore and her mother breathe. Outside, the wind howled across the empty valley. She crawled to the tent flap and peeked out. The temple was there, huge and dark against the stars. But as she watched, she saw something. A flicker of light deep inside the building. Just for a moment, like someone lighting a candle, like someone was home after all. Lily held her drawing close to her chest. The paper was wrinkled and the colors were smudged, but she was proud of it. It showed her family happy together. Maybe tomorrow, she whispered to the distant temple, I will bring you something nice. Then you will not be so lonely anymore. The wind carried her words away into the night, and far inside the ancient structure, something stirred. Something listened. Something waited. Lily woke up before the sun. The camp was quiet. Adults were sleeping in their tents, exhausted from another day of trying to survive. No one noticed the small girl slip out with a folded piece of paper in her pocket. The temple waited for her in the gray morning light. It took Lily almost an hour to walk there. Her legs were short, and the ground was rough with rocks and dead plants. But she did not complain. She had made a promise, and she intended to keep it. The closer she got, the bigger the temple seemed. Its walls rose so high she had to tilt her head all the way back to see the top. The entrance was a dark archway covered in strange shapes that almost looked like faces. Any other child might have been scared. Lily just thought it was interesting. Hello, she said to the archway. My name is Lily. I brought you something. She stepped inside. The temple's interior made no sense. Stairs went sideways. Hallways curved in impossible directions. Rooms seemed to exist in more than one place at the same time. But instead of confusing Lily, it delighted her. This is like a puzzle house, she said happily. I like puzzles. She walked forward without fear. The temple seemed to notice. Usually, it created obstacles for visitors. Walls would appear. Floors would tilt. The darkness would press close and whisper threats. But for this small human, the temple did something different. It opened itself. Corridors straightened. Lights appeared along the walls, soft and golden. A path revealed itself, leading deeper into the structure. Lily followed it, talking as she went. My daddy is an engineer, she said to the empty air. He fixes things. He is trying to fix our radio so someone can come help us. My mommy grows plants. She says that is very important because people need food to be healthy. The walls seem to lean in, listening. I have a dog named Biscuit. He is yellow and fluffy. He likes to chase his tail, which is silly because he can never catch it. He is staying with Grandma right now, but I miss him a lot. Something in the temple shifted. Not threatening, more like a question. Are you lonely here? Lily asked. It is okay if you are. Sometimes I get lonely too. But my mommy says that is why we have family and friends. They make the lonely feeling go away. She reached the central chamber that was enormous. The ceiling disappeared into darkness far above. In the middle of the room stood a pedestal made of something that looked like frozen light. This was where emperors had placed their treasures. This was where all those offerings had crumbled to dust. Lily walked up to it without hesitation. She took out her drawing. It was wrinkled from being in her pocket. One corner was torn. The colors were basic, done with old crayons that were worn down to stubs. The picture showed 4 stick figures. One tall figure with long hair was labeled Mommy in wobbly letters. Another tall figure with a big smile was labeled Daddy. A small figure in the middle was Lily. And a yellow blob with 4 legs was Biscuit. Above them all, she had drawn a yellow sun. This is my family, Lily explained, placing the drawing carefully on the pedestal. I thought maybe you were lonely, so I wanted you to have something nice. You can keep it forever if you want. She stepped back and waited. For a long moment, nothing happened. Lily started to worry. Had she done something wrong? Was the building angry? Maybe it did not like drawings. Maybe it wanted something better, like the grown-ups always seemed to want. Then the drawing began to glow. Soft light spread from the paper, climbing up through the air like golden smoke. The light touched the walls, and the walls responded. Colors rippled across the stone. The cold chamber became warm. And then the temple made a sound that was not the grinding rejection it had given to conquerors. It was not silence. It was something else entirely. Sounded like sigh. Like relief after 10,000 years of waiting. That sounded like a laugh. Like joy that had been buried so long, it had almost been forgotten. Sounded like the building was smiling. You liked it, Lily said, her face breaking into a huge grin. You really liked it. The light swirled around her in gentle spirals. The temple was not just accepting her gift. It was celebrating it. For the first time in 10,000 years, someone had offered the Temple of Echoes something real. Not power, not wealth, not knowledge, just love, drawn in crayon by a 7-year-old girl who did not want a building to feel alone. And that, the temple understood at last, was the only gift that ever truly mattered. The light formed into something Lily could almost see. Not a person, not a creature, more like a feeling that had taken shape. It filled the chamber with warmth and presence. When it spoke, the words seemed to come from everywhere at once. They sounded like wind chimes mixed with distant thunder. "Little one," the temple said, "do you know what you have done?" Lily shook her head. "I just gave you a drawing. You gave me something freely, without wanting anything in return." The presence moved closer, gentle as a breeze. "For 10,000 years, beings have come to me seeking the heart gift. They brought treasures beyond counting. But every treasure was a trade. Every gift was a demand. Give me this, and I will give you that." "That is not really giving," Lily said. "That is just buying." The temple laughed again. The whole chamber seemed to glow brighter. "Yes, exactly. You understand what emperors and conquerors could not. A true gift expects nothing back. It comes from the heart, not from hunger." Lily looked at her drawing, still glowing on the pedestal. "I just wanted you to be happy. Big empty places should not be sad. And that," the temple said softly, "is why you are the first worthy soul I have met since my creation." The presence gathered itself into something more focused. A shape made of light hovered before Lily, approximately her size, as if the temple was trying to meet her at her level. "You have earned the heart gift, little one. I can grant you any wish. One wish. Anything your heart desires." Lily's eyes went wide. Anything within my power. And my power is great." For a moment, Lily thought about all the things she could ask for. She could wish to go home to Earth. She could wish for Biscuit to be here with her. She could wish for all the candy and toys in the universe. But then she thought about her mother, who had not slept properly in days. She thought about her father, whose hands were bleeding from working on the broken radio. She thought about the other survivors, some of them hurt, all of them scared. "Can you help my mommy and daddy?" she asked. "And the other people from our ship? They are really tired and scared. Some of them are sick. We need help." The presence was silent for a long moment. "You could ask for anything," it said finally. "Eternal life, ultimate power, the secrets of the universe. And you asked me to help others? They need it more than I need stuff." Lily said simply that if a temple could cry, this one might have. Instead, it pulsed with warm light that felt like an embrace. "Your wish is granted. Help will come to your people. They will be safe. This I promise." Lily smiled. "Thank you, but I wish to give you something more. A personal gift from me to you. Not because you asked, because you deserve it." The light concentrated into a single point, then expanded into an object. A flower, made of crystal that seemed to hold captured starlight inside its petals. It floated down into Lily's hands. It was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse with a gentle heartbeat. "This flower will never die," the temple explained. "It holds a piece of my light within it. Whenever you feel alone or afraid, hold it close. You will feel my gratitude. You will know that somewhere in the universe, you have a friend who will never forget what you did today." Lily held the crystal flower carefully. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. "I will keep it forever," she promised. "And I will keep your drawing forever," the temple replied. "It will hang in my heart for eternity. A reminder that after 10,000 years of darkness, a small human child taught me how to smile again." The presence began to fade, but the warmth remained. "Go now, little one. Return to your family. They are worried about you. And tell them not to fear. Everything will be all right." Lily started walking back toward the entrance. The temple guided her again, making the path clear and easy. Just before she stepped outside, she turned back. "Will I see you again? Whenever you wish. My doors will always be open for you, Lily. Always." She stepped into the morning light, the crystal flower glowing in her hands. Behind her, the Temple of Echoes began to change. After millennia of cold silence, it stirred with new purpose. A promise had been made. Help would come to the survivors, and it would come in ways that would change the galaxy forever. Diane was crying when Lily returned to camp. "Where were you?" she demanded, pulling her daughter into a tight hug. "We looked everywhere. Your father almost went into that old ruin searching for you." "I was making a friend," Lily said. She held up the crystal flower. "Look what she gave me." Paul stared at the glowing object in his daughter's hands. It pulsed with soft light, beautiful and impossible. He had never seen anything like it. "Lily, where did you get that?" "From a building. The lonely one. She is not lonely anymore because I gave her my drawing." Diane and Paul exchanged worried looks. Their daughter had wandered into an unknown alien structure alone. She should be in trouble. They should be furious. But before anyone could say another word, something strange happened. The ground trembled. Not violently, but steadily, like a heartbeat passing through the earth. People throughout the camp looked up in alarm. Then they saw the temple that was glowing. Light poured from its walls like water, spreading across the valley in gentle waves. Where the light touched the dead soil, color appeared. Gray dirt turned brown, then green as tiny plants pushed up through the surface. The toxic air that had been making people cough began to clear. Survivors who had been struggling to breathe suddenly found their lungs working easily. A woman with a broken leg cried out. Not in pain, in shock. She was watching her leg straighten, the bones knitting together beneath her skin. "What is happening?" someone shouted. "Healing. Everywhere, healing. Wounds closing. Fevers breaking. Damaged equipment sparking back to life." The emergency beacon that Paul had been struggling with for days suddenly lit up, broadcasting a signal so strong it could reach halfway across the galaxy. Lily watched it all with a small smile. "I told her you needed help," she said. She promised. From his observation post on the cliff, Storiy saw everything. His instruments went wild, recording energy readings that should have been impossible. The temple had never done anything like this. In 10,000 years of his people watching, the temple had only rejected and refused. Now it was giving. Freely, abundantly. The old scholar scrambled down from his post and ran toward the human camp. He had to know what had happened. He had to understand that he found the survivors celebrating. People who had been near death an hour ago were now standing, laughing, crying with joy. At the center of it all was a small human girl holding a crystal flower. "You," Storiy said, approaching carefully. "You went inside the temple." Lily looked at the strange gray alien without fear. "Yes." She was sad, so I gave her a present. "What present could you possibly have given? Emperors have offered entire worlds." Lily reached into her pocket and pulled out a second piece of paper. She had made a copy of her drawing before leaving, wanting to keep one for herself. She showed it to Storiy. He stared at the crude crayon picture. Stick figures holding hands. A smiling sun. Labels written in wobbly human letters. "This," he whispered, "this is what the temple accepted. It is my family," Lily explained. "I thought she would like to have one." Storiy felt something he had not felt in 200 years of scholarly detachment. His eyes grew wet. His hands trembled. 10,000 years, he said. 10,000 failures. The greatest minds and powers in the galaxy tried to unlock the temple's heart, and all it wanted was this. He started to laugh, not mockingly. With wonder, Diane stepped forward protectively. "Who are you? What do you know about that place?" Storiy composed himself. "I am a watcher. I have studied the Temple of Echoes my entire life. And your daughter has done what no being has done in recorded history." She made it smile. He looked at Lily with something like reverence. "The galaxy will want to know about this. Scientists will come. Leaders will come. Everyone will want to understand how a human child succeeded where empires failed." Paul put his hand on Lily's shoulder. "She is just a kid. She just wanted to be kind." "Yes," Storiy said softly. "Perhaps that is exactly the point. Perhaps that is what the temple was waiting for all along. Not power, not wisdom, not wealth. Just simple, honest kindness from someone who wanted nothing in return." Above them, the temple continued to glow. Ships would arrive within days, responding to the beacon. The survivors would be rescued. But that was only the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn something it had forgotten long ago. And it would learn it from the smallest and strangest of teachers, that a 7-year-old girl who believed that even buildings deserved to have friends. 1 year later, Verith, 9 had a new name. People called to Hope. Ships arrived from across the galaxy every day now. Not warships, not conquerors seeking power. Pilgrims, scientists, families, all of them wanting to see the Temple of Echoes. All of them wanting to understand the miracle. The human settlement had grown into a small city. Dome-shaped buildings dotted the valley, surrounded by gardens that Diane had helped design. The toxic wasteland was gone, replaced by green fields and clean air. The temple's gift continued to give, transforming the dead world into something beautiful. Lily was 8 years old now. She had grown a little taller, but she was still the same girl who had wandered into an ancient building with nothing but a crayon drawing and a kind heart. She did not understand why everyone treated her like she was special. "I just gave her a picture," she would say whenever someone asked. Anyone could have done it, but that was not true, and so Rawl made sure the galaxy knew it, that he had written extensively about what had happened. His papers were read on 1,000 worlds. The message was always the same. The Temple of Echoes had rejected every offering born from greed, ambition, or hunger for power. It had accepted only one thing: a gift given freely, with love, expecting nothing in return. The galaxy was slowly learning that a delegation from the Korith Dominion arrived one morning. Lily watched from her window as the ship landed. She remembered them vaguely. They had been here before, with the angry commander who wanted to take things. But this time, only 2 figures emerged: an officer in a simple uniform and a child about Lily's age. They walked to the temple entrance together. The officer carried nothing. No treasure chests, no technology, no tribute. His daughter carried a letter. Lily put on her shoes and ran to watch. The officer knelt at the temple entrance. "I'm not here for myself," he said. His voice was humble, nothing like the commander from before. "My daughter wrote this letter. It is for the temple. She asked for help for the sick children on our homeworld, not as a demand, as a hope." He looked at the little girl beside him. She stepped forward nervously and placed the letter on the ground. "Please," she whispered. "They're my friends. I just want them to get better." The temple was silent for a long moment. Then warm light spread from the entrance, touching the letter, touching the child, touching the officer. It was not the full awakening that Lily had triggered, but it was an answer, an acceptance. The officer's eyes went wide. The galaxy's most powerful empires had been rejected, and now his daughter had been welcomed. Lily smiled. The temple was learning too. It was opening its heart, one sincere visitor at a time. That evening, Lily made her regular visit to the central chamber. She did this every few days, bringing new drawings and stories about her life. The temple always listened. "Daddy finally got the garden working perfectly," she reported, sitting cross-legged on the floor. "Mommy cried when the first tomatoes grew. Happy crying," she said. "And I made a new friend named Kira. She is from a planet called something I cannot pronounce, but she has 6 arms, which is really good for playing catch." The walls glowed softly. The presence was there, warm and attentive. "Are you happy?" Lily asked. She always asked this. The light brightened. Flowers made of crystal and light bloomed briefly along the walls, then faded. "Good," Lily said. "That is good." She reached in her bag and pulled out a new drawing. This one showed the temple itself, with a big smile drawn on its front entrance. Around were stick figures of all different shapes and sizes. Humans, aliens, all holding hands. "This is you and all your new friends," she explained. "I thought you might like to see." The drawing floated up from her hands and drifted toward the pedestal, where her original picture still rested in a case of preserved light. The new drawing settled beside it. "2 gifts now. The temple treasured them both." "I should go home," Lily said, standing up. "Mommy is making pancakes tomorrow, and I want to sleep good so I can eat a lot." The presence pulsed with something that felt like laughter. Lily walked to the entrance, her crystal flower glowing in her pocket as it always did. At the archway, she turned back one more time. "See you soon," she said. The temple's response filled the air around her. Warmth, gratitude, love. Outside, the sun was setting over the new city of hope. Ships flew overhead. Children played in the gardens. The future stretched out bright and full of possibility, all because one little girl decided that even an ancient, lonely building deserved a friend. The galaxy would remember this. Not the wars, not the conquests, not the empires that rose and fell. They would remember the child with the crayon drawing. They would remember the temple that smiled. And they would finally understand what humans had known all along. The greatest gift anyone can give costs nothing at all. It only requires a heart willing to share.